Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Mayanthi and I'm a qualified counsellor. I share tips on how I became a counsellor and what you might want to know if you're looking to become a counsellor as well. So in today's video I wanted to talk about some of the jobs I've had since graduating from the Masters in Counselling and Psychotherapy. So basically the first job I had was from the placement that I did in my degree. So in the Masters of Counselling and Psychotherapy you do two placements. My first one was at a homelessness service and the second one was within Relationships Australia, which is an organisation that provides services for lots of different client groups. So one of my friends was working there at the time and she actually arranged a meeting with me and one of the team managers. So once I met with them, they were happy to take me on as a student within their team. So the placement was, I think, about 100 hours of client contact that we had to meet. So I was there for about 6 months or more, working most days a week. And then closer to the end of my placement, they actually offered me a kind of casual part-time position. So I would work with groups of children and run school holiday programs and also programs within the school that were kind of therapeutic based. So that was my very first job out of uni, because that did continue once I finished the placement as well. The next job I had was also within Relationships Australia, and you'll find once you're in the workforce, once you kind of get your foot in the door, if you're working a part of a big organisation, they will, if they're happy, I guess, with the work that you're doing, they will recommend you for other positions within the workplace as well. So there was a team looking for someone to cover someone who was on leave, and that team was working with people who had been in care as children, so in foster care or in kind of government care in an institution. So these clients had been in care as when they were kids, and then when they were adults they were offered this free service to get therapeutic support and also help with finding their family members that they may have not had contact with for a long time. So I kind of felt a little bit like a detective in that role, but I also had the therapeutic work that I could do with clients as well. So basically part of it was, you know, searching on Facebook and Googling and trying to find connections and people's family members and then reconnecting them with those family members. But also part of that role, we would meet with the clients and have one-to-one sessions, whether it be counselling or sort of case management based, helping them to kind of get back into the community. And, you know, they would have had and experienced a lot of kind of attachment issues. So now when they're having their own children, working with them to see how their parenting styles are and offering different strategies and kind of therapeutic supports that might be helpful to them. So that was my second job. And then because that was kind of a casual part-time position as well, I then got offered another position within Relationships Australia as well, which was providing support to a group that was run in the community. It was actually run with Cirkids, which is like a circus performers who go out into the community and provide workshops for children to build social skills and also learn circus skills. So that was quite fun. Me and another colleague were the therapeutic supports for that group. So we would make sure that the group are connecting well. If any children had any behavioural issues, we could bring them aside and have a chat with them and see what's going on. But basically that group was run in a low socioeconomic community. So, you know, it was common for behavioural issues or kind of emotional type issues to come up. So we were there to kind of co-facilitate any of those issues. So that was really fun and interesting, and it was, I think, around a 6-week program. So I would go once a week for that group and then do any background work that needed to be done as well. So those 3 jobs were all within one organization, and obviously very different types of supports I was providing. But then those kind of positions ended because, as I said, they were part-time and casual. So I started applying for other counselling and case management related jobs that were out there. I then got a role within a charitable organisation, and in that organisation I was a case manager. So I was working with people with disabilities, mainly blind and hearing impaired, or vision impaired and deaf. So I was providing kind of outreach support. So I would go to their homes and help with making sure they were connected with the right supports that they needed, and also kind of being a contact person if they weren't sure how to get their medications, or if they were having issues with family, things like that. We would kind of go in and see what they needed. We'd even work with clients who had hoarding behaviours. So yeah, it was quite a broad range of things we would deal with. I would go to doctor's appointments with clients. So as much as it wasn't a typical kind of counselling relationship with the client, there was a lot more that went into it because it was case management. But again, you still needed to use the kind of counselling interactions and counselling skills that I'd learnt in my degree. So yeah, that was quite interesting. That role, I was in it for about 3.5 years, and then I was actually made redundant, which I'll go into in another video, the redundancy story. But just before that, even though I was a case manager, a little bit down the track in that job, I was also given the position of counsellor because the counsellor who was previously there left. So I was also put into the counselling role, and that was the kind of typical counselling relationship that I'd have with clients. So they'd come in and we would sit in the counselling room and I would run a counselling session with them. I also ran some groups through that organisation. So we'd have people who were registered with that organisation, and they would come in for like a once a month group where we'd run different things, whether they be music related or other kind of sensory activities, because they were generally blind or vision impaired. So activities that would be related to that kind of client group. So once I was made redundant from that position, I then started applying for jobs again, and I then got a job within a university, and I was working with students who had or have disabilities or medical conditions or mental health conditions, to making sure that they had the adjustments and the supports that they needed within the university. So that was my most recent position. Apart from that, I'd also started a private counselling practice once I was made redundant from my other job. So I was seeing some clients privately and running counselling sessions with them. So those were some of the jobs that I've worked since I finished my degree, my master's in counselling and psychotherapy. And as you can see, there are a broad range of jobs available for counsellors. It's just about finding what you're actually interested in and what you would like to be doing. So thanks for watching, and make sure to subscribe so you can keep up to date with my other videos.